Chicago's west side for the Harrison Park Fall Ball Co-Ed 16-inch playoffs. We got a semifinal game going on here between the Enforcers and Players. Players was the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs, and I believe the Enforcers were the 4 seed. So we got another semifinal game going on down at the other end. We're going to go back to back. We'll start a new stream when we start the championship. So the women are wearing mitts, the men are not. This is 16-inch style softball with a twist because it's co-ed. 60-foot bases. I think they allow them to lead off here. You can't steal, I don't believe. And my guess is they're going to play 1-on-1 count. So just finishing up the warm-up, starting just a couple of minutes late. They had soccer going on here, and it went a little longer. This is an all-turf field, no fences, but we do have a very short porch in right field, and they got all kinds of strange rules depending on where you hit it and how it gets over that concrete barrier. Then there's about 20 feet and maybe 10, and they got like a 10-foot high fence over there. So little bit of a different. The ball will scoot in the gaps if the ball gets down. This turf has got a lot of mileage on it, so as a result of that, it's a little harder than the turf we see at, say, Carroll Stream or Joliet. So leading off here for the Enforcers, it's going to be Drew, Cliff, and then PJ. So very cool night out here in Chicago. Feels like it might be down around 67. Probably going to drop a little bit now as the sun has gone away. And he swings and he lifts a fly ball and he walks that dog. Fair ball. It's going to bounce around in the corner. And Drew is going to lead off with a stand-up triple. So he didn't hit it hard, but he hit it to the right spot, hit that turf, got to that concrete embankment, and Drew flying around the bases, stand-up triple. And that's going to bring up Cliff now, runner on third, nobody out. First scoring opportunity here, top of the first. And there he flares it the other way, and that's into the gap. It lands, bottled by the left fielder. It's going to be back-to-back triples to start the game, 1-0 Enforcers. So both of the first two hitters have gone opposite field, back-to-back triples, and they take the first lead of the ball game here. It's going to bring up PJ, first woman to hit in the ball game tonight. And there's a little pop-up, and left fielder got a bad jump, and he makes a sliding catch. And the left fielder barking at his shortstop, telling him, dude, the ball was 3 feet from you. He had to close like a banshee. He did get there first out of the inning. And that's going to bring up Martin. So talking to one of the Enforcer coaches, I believe they might have won this league last year, because he was saying he wanted to repeat. Takes that pitch, little flatten inside. Two umpires on the game, Carlos Castleberry and Mike Lewis. And there's a shot the other way, base hit, second run scores. And the Enforcers off to a good start here. 3 of their 4 hitters have reached. 2 have scored. So that's going to bring up Terry. And again, what you notice here a little bit on the co-ed, high pop-up, that'll be an infield. No, that's a, well, that was right on the line. I think Carlos Castleberry was calling that an infield fly rule. And for you kids at home, infield fly rule only applies on a fair ball where the infielder can make a catch with a routine effort. That brings up Gio, no relation to this Gio. So 2 outs now, 2 runs in. That ball's on the plate. There he grabs a strike. Full count. And he skies one. That'll be the third out. Of course, you cannot hit a foul ball with 2 strikes in 16-inch softball. So, Gio, if you're keeping score at home, that would be a strikeout. So we head to the bottom of the first, 2-0. Enforcers lead, and the players coming to bat. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We were up in Hamlin Park yesterday for their playoffs. We're here tonight. We'll be back out here at Harrison next week. And, of course, a week from Saturday, we'll be in Las Vegas with some live stream. And on Friday night, there will be a meet and greet for the teams that are in the event. So we'll probably have a little live look-in for that. And I believe Ronnie's planning on maybe doing that draw at the meet and greet. So we'll show you all of that. Maybe get a couple interviews. And then when we get back to Chicago, we'll be covering not only the playoffs out here, but we'll also be covering the playoffs out in Melrose Park a little bit. So a lot of softball still to come, even though the summer season is officially over. So leading off here, it's going to be Arnold, followed by KC and then Michelle. So players early hole here. We'll see how they respond. So the dreaded leadoff walk puts Arnold on base.
Erica, he outranked you.
And it brings up KC. Yeah, Malia, yesterday I was breathing in a lot of dust, and now today it's a little on the cool side. So my sinuses are running a little bit. And there's a little ground ball, and that's going to sneak through. Arnold's going to get to third, and they're going to just wave him. He keeps running. KC saw that they were a little slow getting the ball in. He just kept running, and they cut the lead in half right away after 2 hitters. So it brings up Michelle now.
Good.
And there's a little pop-up that's going to be over the screen and out of play to my left. So 2 strikes now. Michelle got that swing going a little late there. Let the ball get a little too deep on her. And that pitch is a little deep.
Go off, Casey, go off.
And Michelle drives that into center field, but right at the center fielder. And that's out number 1. So it's going to bring up Jason with Vanessa on deck. Of course, you might recognize Jason as he played on Impact for a lot of years and more recently with Circus.
Hey, 1 out.
And Jason swings and he hits it toward the alley in right center. We're all tied at 2, ball bouncing around, and Jason will just shut it down and be happy with a double. So both teams following a very similar pattern, as 3 of their first 4 hitters got on, and they both have scored 2 runs. So that brings up Vanessa with David on deck. Again, we're on the west side of the city of Chicago. We're not far from the UIC campus and medical district out here. And there's a little soft swing, and it finds its way through. Jason will stop at third. Runners on the corners. So Vanessa picked out a hole and just flipped it through there. They'll get a courtesy runner. Brings David up.
What, David? What up, Michelle?
And there's a high, towering fly ball way back into right. Clears that second fence, and that'll be a two-run homer. Again, had that ball not cleared, or three-run homer, excuse me. Had that ball not cleared the fence, it would not have been a home run. Because you see they got the short concrete, and then there's about 10 feet there. And I think one of the Park District guys may be running to get to the other side of that fence. And you can see that building there. There's a pool in there on the lower level. And then they have kind of activity space above the pool. So on the other side too, you can see where it flattens out there. That's like an indoor basketball type facility. Very nice court. So they flip it over, and big bomb there by David. It's the lefty got a flat pitch and just turned on it and drove it out of here. So that's going to bring up Marisol with Manuel on deck. So players, after falling behind 2-0, just come right back and drop the 5 on the Enforcers. And there's another ball there, a little high and deep. So Marisol trying to get herself on base via the walk. And she does walk, second walk of the inning. So Marisol just sat back, and none of those pitches were close. So here comes Manuel. So home plate jumping around here on the pitcher for the Enforcers. And there's a hard ground ball to short, little bobble. And Marisol thought about going. Ball kind of rolled into no man's land, but the hesitation put a stop to that. And here's George. And George hits a ball past the second baseman, and they get the fielder's choice at second. So the right fielder was not playing very deep. He just came in and threw it to second. Base runner had to wait. It was kind of a line drive. Glanced off the second baseman's glove. And here comes Thelma. And she hits a little pop-up. Short center's there, a little basket catch. But in the inning, they push 5 across. We're going to head to the top of the second, 5-2 players. So coming up, it's going to be Sabrina, James, and Chico. Anybody gets on? Cynthia. Forcers only hitting 10 tonight. Players batting 11.
An hour, yeah. An hour, I'll give you.
So here's the short center, Sabrina. Takes that pitch on the plate. She swings, hits it hard, but way foul. And that ball's going to roll a little bit. So we're working on the All-Geo team, trying to figure out when we're going to do our next show, where we'll announce that. And also give you guys a Chicago Series, Summer Series update. And we've been kind of preparing the final statistics, so we should have a document up with that very shortly, so you guys can kind of see what happened. Now, a lot of times when you look at that sheet, because managers, you're not doing your job a lot of times, and your handwriting is either bad or you got players wearing different numbers at a tournament. Little ground ball, and Sabrina's going to lead off here with a base hit. She runs it through the center of the field for a ground ball single. And so you might see that there are different numbers for players. And again, that's not on the SSA. If your guys are wearing weird numbers and they can't find them on the Game Changer, that's what happens. And there's a swing and a base hit by James to center field. And they put their first two base runners are. So here comes Chico.
Come on, Chico, open it up.
Hey, Glenn, he's gonna go right here.
So Enforcers took that 2-0 lead. They got punched in the mouth with the fin, but there's a little slow roller. Michelle grabs it. George gets over. Both runners will advance. Second and third now, one out. And it brings up Cynthia. So if you're running that third base here, they're going to squeeze Cynthia a little bit. If it's a ground ball, you have to make up your mind right away whether you're going to go or not. And of course, your main concern is that the ball doesn't get hit to the pitcher. George knocks it down. Sabrina's going to try it. Called her safe. And the runner tried to sneak to second. And Mike Lewis is saying he's going to go talk to see if the home plate umpire, and they are going to send her back after the non-tag. He called time, but it does push a run across. Still only one out, and now they're at the top of the lineup with Drew, who led the game off with a triple. 5-3 ball game. And Drew goes hard to center, and he beat Arnold. And that ball's going to roll all the way to the fence, and it takes a bounce. This is going to be a 3-run homer. So Drew has already got the two tough hits, the triple and the homer, and he's on his way to a potential cycle. He just needs a double and a single now. And he juiced it. The center fielder, Arnold, was not respecting him, and he just drove it over the top. No little breeze at the very top of the trees. At field level, can't really feel much. Here's Cliff. So the Enforcers reclaim the lead at 6-5. And there's a walk. So, and because there was a female after the male, she automatically walks. So that's going to put a couple of base runners on. And here comes Martin, who launched one out of here his last at bat. I'm going to get off this line a little bit. And he looks like he might thinking he wants to dip and drive one more time. And he hits a sky high. That'll be an infield fly rule. Doesn't matter. He dropped it, but infield fly rule. At that point, the runners can advance at their own risk. Now they throw to second, and the ball gets away, and everybody's safe. And that run is going to score. He's not out on the force because the ball was dropped. And he's not out on the force because it was infield fly rule. So I don't know what's happening here. Doesn't matter if it's in the outfield. If it's a play in the infield that was actually facing home plate, and if he can...
Did they get the force out at third?
Hey, Mike, was that an infield fly rule or no? Okay, I'm not sure about that interpretation, to be honest with you. We see a lot of infield fly rules where just because the ball drifts to the outfield, if it's an infielder making the play with a routine effort, so strange play, and this should be the last out, and it is. So little crazy stuff going on there. As Terry grounds out to the pitcher, I believe it's 7-5.
That's why he did it. 7-5, 6-5.
Should be 7.
That one run did score.
Right, they would have had 8.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So we'll check the score, but I believe it's 7-5. And I can understand why players is upset. Said the ball went to the outfield, but ended up not carrying as far as they thought. And these are very, very shortcut infields if you go by the brown to green. And so the reason for that rule is they don't want infielders dropping balls to try to get outs, whether it be a double play or just a single out. So this is Glenn up as we're in the bottom of the second inning here.
Why didn't the ump call it?
And there's a long fly ball to left. Left fielder drifts back and makes a catch for out number 1. And that's going to bring us to the top of the players' lineup.
Yeah, I know. First I was underneath the whole thing.
It doesn't raise
And this should be Arnold coming up.
But if it's an infield fly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't happen.
And he'll be followed by KC.
I mean, it doesn't.
But the ump got to call it. They didn't call it.
So why not just catch the ball?
Because in that instance, on that fly ball, really not a fly ball, it was more of a pop-up, but infielder never had his back turned to the infield. He was never running after it and was pretty much camped under it the whole way.
Right away, right?
So here's Arnold.
Oh, so then.
And again, we've seen that infield fly rule. And Arnold tomahawks one into center. Center fielder, good job making sure it didn't bounce over. 1 out single. brings up KC. So 7-5 ball game. We'll confirm that score here if I get a chance to talk to Manny Sanchez. And there's a base hit the other way. So here come the players right back. And now Michelle is up. So they put a couple of people on.
Be on the ground. You're doing it, Arnold.
And there's a strike, 2-2 count.
Be ready, be ready, be ready. Arnold, you can go.
And Michelle, a little roller to second, handled. Both runners will move up, but 2 outs now. And that brings up Jason. Jason hammered a double his last time up. And they're playing deep. Any type of a base hit should score 2 and tie the game. And he hammers one, and the left fielder makes the catch before he crossed into the out-of-play boundary. So Jason hit it hard. Nice play by the left fielder, getting a terrific jump on it. And after they put a couple of base runners on, they can't do nothing with it. And we head to the top of the third. And we'll get the score here while we got a little lull in the action.
No, the middle one. The middle one is the one you want. Middle one.
Mike, 7-5? So it's 6-5. Had they not called that infield fly rule, it would have been 8. I'm not quite sure how it got down to 6. But neither team complaining, so might have been my first mistake I have made this decade. So leading off, it's going to be Gio Sabrina, then James. And he hits a soft fly ball. Center fielder makes the play for out number 1. Brings up Sabrina. So it was a pretty hectic first 2 innings here. We talk all the time about it, sometimes how these games tend to settle in after the first couple innings. We'll see if that happens or if they stay at this frenetic pace. And there's a little chopper over to third. Throws in time. Third baseman was bobbling it. Got rid of it. Threw a nice polite one-hopper over to Michelle. And she made the play, and it brings up James. So the way these two teams were going in the first, you really don't want to go dry. And there's a soft line drive caught by the third baseman. So Enforcers go 1, 2, 3 in the top of the third. So coming up here for players will be Vanessa, David, and Marisol.
on that drive to Twitter. You want to get split into this
Takes that pitch. And there's a little ground ball, but foul down the third baseline. And that'll go as a strikeout. So it brings up David. Pitch a little high for the depth. Might have been inside. And that's ball 3. And there he grabs a strike, full count. We've seen a couple of walks, and with the 1-1 count, it's such a huge advantage for a pitcher. And there's a little hard one hopper, takes a good hop. Second baseman stayed right with it, and that's out number 2. So this third inning been much quieter than the first 2. Brings up Marisol. And she hits a little roller to short, little fumble. He picks it up, throws in time for out number 3. So both teams go 1, 2, 3 in the third. So we'll head to the top of the 4th, 6-5. And of course, this park they got on the other side here, other side of third base, they have little space, and then they have 4 diamonds playing out of the corners over there, dirt fields. So they got a total of like 5 or 6 fields out here. So it's going to be Chico, then Cynthia, and then the top of the lineup with Drew. Has been absolutely on fire so far. And there he tries to go big. They were cheating him, and he gets it to land, and he'll be content with a single. So Chico, second time the players outfield have disrespected a hitter on Enforcers. Second time they've gone over the top on him. So here comes Cynthia. Leadoff man on here, and she skies one on the infield. Second baseman makes the play for out number 1.
Oh yeah, the light.
So Cynthia hit it right up the elevator shaft. And here's Drew, who so far you'd have to say he's the offensive star of the game. Ground ball to short. They go to second for 1. The lefty turn, not in time. But a nice job by the shortstop. Stayed down. That ball was hugging the ground. He made a nice pickup and an accurate throw. So here's Cliff. And Cliff grounds one, knocked down by the pitcher. Tried the backhand for the fielder's choice. Everybody's safe. So George fell down with the lefty in the box. Pretty much knew he wasn't going to be able to throw to first. And George got lucky that ball stayed on the infield. Runners on the corner now with 2 outs. PJ up, if she reaches safely, will be tied at 6. And there's a little flare to center, but Arnold right there puts it away. So little mini two-out threat. They can't push across the tie. Or excuse me, they couldn't push across a little bit of an extension run there. Got a little mixed up there. And we head to the bottom of the fourth, still 6-5. So that was a good opportunity there for the Enforcers to push out. They couldn't do it. And I'm going to grab a little water, folks. I'll be right back. And we're back. And there's a swing down the right field line. That's going to drift way out of play.
Playing like that, they're going to be okay until they get to Washington. Washington got it, boys. Washington probably got it too. Washington probably kicked their foot.
So Manuel leading off.
They play in London this week, right? Who they play?
Full count.
But anyhow.
And there's a hard line drive that'll sit in front of the left fielder, leadoff man on.
All right, Dono, let's go.
So Manuel comes through with a base hit. It's going to bring up George with Thelma on deck. Yeah, Blake, the women player are being allowed to wear gloves, and George just punched it out to a little inside-out swing. Right fielder read it all the way for the first down, and it brings Thelma up. George trying to walk the dog, but he hit a little bit too much into straightaway right field, and the ball carried right to the right fielder there. So 2-2 count now on Thelma. And she hits a soft line to second baseman, didn't make the catch, and they'll get the fielder's choice. Nothing Manuel could do on it. It looked like the second baseman was going to make that catch. She kind of overran it a little bit. She charged it, and then it looked like she was trying to maybe catch and get it out of her glove, but she just dropped it. So that's going to bring up Glenn now, 2 outs. Runner on first. So the Enforcers, the 4 seed leading the 1 seed here. And there's a line drive through the third baseman. Courtesy runner will stop at second. Does get him to the top of the lineup with Arnold. Takes that pitch for a ball. KC on deck. And he slashes one. Second baseman made it look easy. Hot one hopper popped right up to her. And a mini threat goes by the board once again. So players starting to leave a few runners on base in this game. We'll head to the top of the 5th. Still 6-5.
about 23.
So it's going to bring Martin up. He'll be followed by Terry and Gio. And there he goes big the other way. That's going to be way out of play as it lands in the bleachers over there.
When I got to see the
And it's interesting because Martin's first time up, he got out around the ball and drove it out of here to right field. His last two at-bats, he's gone the other way. And usually when you get big, strong left-handed hitters and they get a short porch in right, they're looking to turn and burn every time up.
I would think that would help the Bears out a lot. Even if
And there he just hits a little topper to short, fumble, can't make the play. So Martin, lefty, running hard down the line. Once that ball got bobbled, really didn't have an opportunity. So leadoff man on for Terry.
they don't have no running game.
And George, the pitcher, trying to get his infield and outfield to move in a little bit. And she hits a ground ball up the middle, and that'll be a double play. Wipes out the leadoff single. The lefty short center didn't have to do much. Had his foot on the bag as he fielded it, and then made the throw for the double play. So that's going to bring up Gio now. Nobody on base here, as that was tailor-made. And he swings, hits a ground ball. Third baseman can't handle it. And that'll be the second runner to reach this inning, courtesy of a bobble on the left side. So things must be heating up on the other diamond as we're hearing some hooting and hollering. Brings up Sabrina here. Runner on. 2 outs here for the Enforcers. Michelle going to try to keep the runner a little closer. I'm not a big fan of that. And the reason why I say it is you have Sabrina up, so your thought is she may not drive the ball. And you're already playing them kind of tight. She flies out to left. And Gio, a big dude, probably isn't scoring on a single. So why would you give up that much space between your first baseman and your second baseman? You mean a 16-inch co-ed tournament, Blake? They're all different. You go to the south side near Mount Greenwood, they do have a tendency to play, everybody play no glove, but that's on the south side. And they're not playing alternating. A lot of times in these co-ed, they'll want to go guy, girl, guy, girl. So it's going to be KC, Michelle, and Jason coming up here. Are you guys playing 16-inch down there, Blake, or is it 14 or 12? So he called time there, stepped out of the box. KC slaps a little too hopper. Third baseman got out over his skis, got into the line of sight of the shortstop. I think they may have actually brushed each other. So KC leads off with a hit, tying run aboard, and here's Michelle.
Now, okay.
And she swings and hits a roller, third baseman, and first baseman got handcuffed, and that's going to tie the game at 6.
Hey, great ball.
So Michelle drives in a run there from first base. So the throw wasn't handled. And they're all tied at 6 here. And it brings up Jason. They actually threw that ball home. Little chopper through the hole. Michelle's going to get to third. Jason, big aggressive turn. So runners on the corner, nobody out, and players here in the bottom of the 5th tied the game. So here's Vanessa now. And they're calling her back. I don't know if they're going to talk to her about what they want her to do. I'm sure they don't want to see a repeat of a ground ball up the middle for a double play. So they may just be trying to tell her to hit something. She hits it in the air. Left fielder, though, is there. There's the tag. And Michelle scores. And players take a 7-6 lead. So that's the first out of the inning. Brings up David now. And they wanted to appeal whether she left early. Umpires say no. And there's a humpback into right field. Jason's going to take the turn. Throw cut off. Runners on the corner. 1 out. So David got on top of that ball. A lot of top spin. Got it elevated over the infield, and the ball just humped over there. That brings up Marisol. So players with a 7-6 lead here. Runners on the corner threatening for more. And Marisol hits a ground ball over to Sabrina. The relay high. So another run is going to score. They do get the second out of the inning. But 8-6 ball game now. Players have scored 3. And it brings up George. No, I'm sorry, David. Where am I at here? And there's a swing, and he hammers it foul down the left field line. This is manual. George is on deck. And there's a ground ball to the shortstop. They'll go the easy way, and that'll be out number 3, but they push a 3 spot.
Hey, defense, come on, defense.
And we're going to head to the top of the 6th. Mike, 6? So this is the top of the 6th. 8-6 players. And Forcers now find themselves trailing. It's going to be James, Chico, and Cynthia, the bottom third of the lineup.
But that's all I see. I'm only to tell you what I see, but I didn't see the whole game.
Well, Blake, if you need any help, there's a ground ball, fair ball off the third baseman. And the leadoff man, Chico, finds his way on base.
That's how much the game I think.
I'm sorry, that was James. Here's Chico. So if you need any help, Blake, just shoot me an email. And there's a ground ball to Michelle. She'll go to second, and they get the fielder's choice as she lobbed it right over the top of the base runner. Nice touch on that pass. Some NFL quarterbacks could use those lessons. And that's going to bring up Cynthia. 1 out now. You can email me at George at SSAsoftball.com. And even though we have co-ed mushball rules, you can apply those to 16-inch in terms of, whether you want to alternate guy, girl. You can always doctor them if you want women to use a glove or not use a glove. But we can give you some kind of basics that you might be able to follow. And there's a little short hop. Can't make the catch. Throw to second. Not in time. They do get the fielder's choice. Little sinking line drive. Short center couldn't handle it. And Cynthia had the wherewithal to run hard down the line to prevent a double play. That's going to bring up Drew. 2 for 3 in the ball game. And he goes the opposite field. Right fielder makes the play. So players can't push anything across. It'll stay 8-6 as we head to the bottom of the 6th. And it's going to be George, Thelma, and Glenn, the bottom third of the players lineup. If you're players, you might want to get a little insurance here, as the enforcers are going to have 2, 3, 4 coming up in the 7th. So our good friend Steve Rodriguez here tonight from the LBSC, Los Barachos Softball Club. Of course, Steve, very good friends with Manuel. And this looks like a pinch hitter. And right back to the pitcher, and they get the out at first. And that's going to bring up Thelma, so that was a pinch hitter. Grabs a strike. And there's a pop-up, and that'll be strike 3. And that brings up Glenn with 2 outs and nobody on. And they're not sure if they're pinch hitting for Glenn or not.
Grab the man and choke him. He just said, okay, that happened 20 years ago. Right. You're picking it up.
And there's a little kind of a slash that was a pinch hitter, Ernie. Looked like he might have got it kind of close to the trademark, but he pulled his hands in and just kind of muscled it into center field. So with 2 outs, Ernie will be running on the swing. It brings up Arnold. Wonder if they're going to have any kind of maybe a hit and run on here. And Arnold just tops it, and that'll be the 3rd out. So do or die 7th coming up for enforcers. They need 2 to tie, 3 to take a lead. Anything else anything else, and players will be playing for the championship.
Take the out. Take the sure out. Take the sure out.
So Cliff P.J. Martin coming up here for the Enforcers, 2-3-4. And it looks like Ernie's going to stay in the game and go play right field. And of course, the Enforcers need at least one base runner to be dangerous. And of course, Martin's going to get another swing here. After the way he looked on that first swing he took on that home run, I'd like to see him. There's somebody on, maybe think in terms of trying to drive something to right field. And there's a strike. So Cliff taking a few pitches here, trying to get on base. And there he sits back, a little step back. Then he dropped the head and just flipped it into center field.
Let's go, PJ!
So here's PJ.
Had he been on the street, he had to make a decision. He didn't like it. Right.
You can see here Cliff was very aggressive. Can see he's moving fast off that bag. You know, he's thinking he wants to try to beat any type of a fielder's choice. And there is a ground ball, and he did his job. Now he's going to try to go to third, and he makes it. And now the ball gets away, and he'll go home. So Cliff being very, very aggressive. And that throw was not that much late in terms of going to third. Third baseman didn't handle it. He would have made it, but not as comfortable as you'd like to see, trailing by 2. But it works out, and here's Martin. A big fly would tie the game. And he goes the other way for the third time in a row, and he'll get on. As the shortstop had a little trouble. And that's going to bring up Terry. Now, Terry did ground into a double play here. And let's see how aggressive this base runner is. As there is one out here. And she hits a soft fly ball, and newly inserted right fielder makes the catch. Down to their last out, brings up Gio. Now Drew's going to be running on the swing. He'll score on that stretch single. So we got an 8-7 game here, top of the 7th. Players one out for playing for the championship. Enforcers one out away from being eliminated. That pitch is high. And again, you don't want to walk him because you'd load the bases with the woman getting the... And Manuel, this is going to do it. And Players holds on for an 8-7 win. They'll play in the championship. We're going to click off. I believe the other game is over, but we will start a new stream for the championship in a few minutes. So hang in there with us, and we have champion.